We are live.
Okay, I think I'm first up. Okay, is it okay if I start?
Go for it. Yep.
I see that the chief is here, so I think we're okay to go. Okay, it's 5:30 and I'm gonna call Public Health and Safety Committee to order. My first three items on my agenda are all from the fire department. So I am going to turn this over to Chief Chappell.
Hi. The one item that's on there is the $1,500 for the roof. I wanted to run this by you guys before we actually proceed on that.
Okay, are we gonna skip to the second item on the agenda right now? Because the first item I have to increase vehicle maintenance.
Okay, I don't have the agenda in front of me, so I apologize. So the first one
That's
is
okay.
okay. So the first one, vehicle maintenance, 2313, which is our frontline engine. Last month we had to put about $6,500 into the braking system. The brakes went out. But we also got hit with this month that we our line item is actually in the red, including encumbrances. We have another $1,400 for ECU, which is the computer system for the anti-lock braking system. So to try to keep the truck going for the remainder of the year, along with the additional fleet that we have, I need to increase that line item for vehicle maintenance.
Okay, so how much are we looking to increase it?
I think we put in for 15,000. I'm already 5,000 in the hole just for the brakes that were already done. So that would give me roughly $10,000 to make it for the remainder of the year for 13 and the rest of the fleet, in addition to what I already have.
And have you talked with finance about that with
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
Yes, I've been involved in all this.
Do you believe that's plenty for anything that might be unexpected?
Or is it?
I talked with Ryan Hall, who does our vehicle maintenance, and he feels that the 15,000 should keep us comfortable where we're at. We really don't want to put good money after bad, we're knowing that we're going to be getting a new engine in the truck, but we have to keep it roadworthy at least until next July. Next year's budget, hopefully we don't really have to tap into that, but at least for the remainder of the year, it seems like it's been costing us anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 or $4,000 a month to keep it on the road.
Okay. So will this, like, for the new budget, when the new budget comes out, will this be taken away from that amount, or will we increase it when we do come out with the new budget?
Okay, so back in May, they reduced the vehicle maintenance line item roughly between 12 and 15,000. I don't remember the exact numbers. And they did that with what to my understanding was with the intention when we bought the new engine, we would be able to safely reduce that. So right now the budget is at 22,000. It was reduced from, I think, 35 or 37,000.
Okay.
Where it's currently at. So next year we should be fine with the 22,000 that we have in there once we receive our new engine. Now, as long as we make it from January to July when we receive the vehicle, hopefully we don't have to take too much of our 2021 budget to put back into 13 as well.
Right. Okay. Matt and Rob, are you both on?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, do you guys have a problem, or is it okay to go ahead and approve the additional $15,000 for the vehicle maintenance?
Yeah. Good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Those are repairs that need to be made.
Okay.
I do just have a quick question for Mark.
Sure.
Are you updated regularly on the build of the new engine, and are they still on schedule for July of next year?
We are, yes. We just had a committee meeting a few weeks ago, and we met with Spartan themselves. Johnson is actually the company that is going through Spartan, and we finalized all the truck specs, which we narrowed everything down. When you custom build a truck, it's very intricate. There's probably about 50, 60 pages of articles in there that we have to go through line by line by line to say this what we want or whatnot. So we finalized that, like I said, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and we are still on schedule to receive the vehicle in July.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item, Mark, is I can't even talk tonight. Necessary additional repairs to the fire station roof. And I know we had talked about this a while back, correct?
Correct. Okay, so they came out and they did the lower portion of the roof. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the way our roof is at. We have a metal roof that is pitched down, and then it goes, it basically drains into a flat roof that is roughly maybe 4 feet wide by about 12 feet in length of the front of our building. When they came out and they gave us a quote to look at the roof, and this is kind of upsetting me, they said, yeah, the drain and the material where the roof is coming down and catching is where your problem's at. So they replaced the liner in there, they replaced the drain system in there, and that's what came to the $3,000. It wasn't a week later when we got rain, we started getting water in again. So I called them and I said, hey, look, we're having problems with water leakage again. What's going on? So they ended up coming out with, Bob Finney was here for it. They did a flow test against the building, but basically what we did is we took a fire hose and we ran it up on the roof line, running water down. Well, the way that the metal decking comes down, there's a seam on the far left side. That seam, the material of that metal roof is already over 50 years old. The seam itself is separated, allowing water to get in there. So what it's doing is it's running down that metal seam underneath the coating that they just replaced. And that's why we're getting water coming into the lower portion of our roof. It's actually coming in from underneath it, not from above it, which we didn't know until after they did a flow test. So what they wanted to do, and there's no guarantee on this, they said for $1,500, they would come back out, they would open up that seam, they would put like a non-permeable tape in there, put the seam back down, and then coat it and seal it. He said it should buy us time for maybe a year, 2 years most is what you'll get out of it, but there's no guarantee. If it was to start leaking in the winter, we're kind of on our own. So again, with the mindset of not throwing good money after bad, I was like, well, we already put $3,000 into this. I wish I would have known from the get-go. He goes, regardless, your bottom portion of your roof need to be repaired no matter what. I said, well, what are we looking at to have the metal decking replaced? So he came out Thursday the 6th and gave and did some measurements. He did not give me an estimate yet. I'm supposed to have, he told me that he would have the estimate for me for the first portion of this week, Monday, Tuesday. I was hoping to have it for you guys today, but he never got back to me today, even when I tried to call him. I'm guessing, in all honesty, we're probably going to be somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 to have that roof repaired properly, to have the decking replaced. I don't know if it's something that we want to table and get away with the $1,500 to try to get us by, or if it's something that you guys want to entertain replacing, so that it's inevitable. We're going to have to do it at some point, regardless, whether we want to do it now or we want to just try to buy us some time.
Well, I'm kind of with the buying for time. Sorry, got to be here. It's because it seems like a lot of money all at once again, with the fire department. There's a lot going on there.
We do.
That's just my opinion. But then again, were they the ones who assessed the roof the first time to have it repaired?
So Garland Group is a company that has all the product and whatnot. And basically what they do is they subcontract or bid it out to contractors to have the roof done. Castle Roofing is the one who actually did our roof, to the repair for the roof, who works in conjunction or basically a subcontractor of the Garland Group. So that is who I'm waiting to have a price come back. I may be high, I may be way off, but I'm kind of guesstimating based on what the conversation I had with him of what it would be done to, what it would cost to have it done correctly. But again, if we put the money into it, he says, I can't promise you anything. I'm buying time. We're putting a Band-Aid on it.
Wow. I don't know, Mayor, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Right.
With this particular thing. I think that we don't know what the other figure is. It's really hard to make a decision without that figure. I think I would suggest moving this on with the idea that we will have that information at the committee of the whole.
Right. Yeah, because we can't not at this point. But as far as just the repair and not the whole roof right now?
Like I say, I've got to see what the figure is for the total repair.
Okay.
If we want to table it for till the next month or whatever, I have no problem with that. I mean, fortunately, our weather's been pretty good in August.
Next month,
It's going to be a dry month. It seems like since what they've done, only in a heavy rain are we really taking in water. But what we are suffering with is, I'm not sure if you're really familiar with the inside of the station, when that metal beam actually comes down, the concrete wall from all the moisture being in there for the last several years of water actually getting in there is spalling, meaning that the concrete is actually breaking away, and we actually have crumbling parts that come down into our inside of our station from this. So it's the longer we put it off, in all honesty, I'm not saying the $1,500 wouldn't get us time, but the longer we put it off of not addressing it properly, the more constructional damage we're probably going to do to the inside of our building.
I mean, this is their home for a while when they're on.
Right.
shift. For me, get it done, because for a while when I was going in there, there was a bucket up on that ledge, catching some of that rainwater.
It's still there.
If this was anybody else's home, it would get fixed. So
Right. Well, I'm not trying to say it doesn't need fixed. I'm just saying, do we do the whole part of it, or do we just temporarily fix it and just?
I think your point of kind of seeing where we are at committee of the whole, with more information.
Okay.
Will we have two quotes? I mean, the 1,500 is an estimate.
The 1,500 is a guaranteed price for
It is. Oh, okay.
Temporary fix. That is
Okay.
100%.
And then the quote would be for the whole job, though.
The whole job they haven't done correctly. That is coming back from Castle, but I can also have a couple other companies come out and give a quote to what it would cost to replace that decking. I have no problem with that. I just didn't know what direction you guys felt comfortable with me doing.
Well, if we have the two quotes for the next meeting, that might be a good start.
That's fine.
Right.
I could do
I agree.
that.
Bob, do you feel if that metal decking was replaced, that would solve the problem?
Yes. Yes, it's a conversation that we've had over the years. And without knowing that the fire department will have a new facility and the police department anytime soon, it's time to just replace it and be done with it. The
Right.
flat roof was replaced maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So this just goes in conjunction with the flat roof, and police department has a newer roof, the fire department has a flat new roof, and then this vestibule would be completed also.
Okay.
And
All right.
as Mark pointed out, if something happens during the winter, they're not going to be able to get on the roof and
Right.
re-roof it or patch it again, potentially with the snow and weather. So it
Is there-
really needs to be done.
Is there any other roofing issues like on City Hall or police station or any of that, or is this pretty much the main section that needs fixed?
I believe there was some patchwork done over the last couple of years to City Hall, but it was just a patch.
And I think at at your place on Freedom Street, there was some roof work done there too a while back. Wasn't there?
Yeah, I think 2012, they put a new roof on the rack portion.
Okay. Okay, so we'll
But-
go ahead.
And I
with
know,
the- What?
Oh, I was just going to say, I know nobody wants to discuss it, but a couple years ago, we had discussed a new safety building for police and fire. And I know this is not the time, but something like this takes years to plan, and it is something that the city should be planning.
Well, didn't we have a plan for all city offices? I remember there were several proposals, one at the Chestnut Park and other places. I can't remember the company that.
Right. That's on the shelf, and that's been put on the shelf, and we've had no discussion since then.
Well,
Right.
you bring a valid point, and here's why, and this is just my 2 cents. Our building being the age it is, we don't have separate facilities for a female employee. If we were to hire a female, we don't have separate sleeping areas for her. We don't have separate shower areas for her. We don't have any way to facilitate for that at this point. So I think Bob has a value there that it is something that we have to look at down the road. It's just a matter of time before we, and it's not taken away from any female. We just haven't had any female applicants in the past. And I'm not sure if we have one on. I think we have one that's on our list that's currently active now. So.
Well, thanks, Bob, for bringing that up to our attention. And, something that, I'm sure Andrew would probably, that would be I think a good project to get back started,
Well,
So-
my point is, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take
Oh, no.
time. But the initial step is starting to finance a project like that. Earmark money, set it aside, and get started in that fashion. So.
Okay. So going back to the roof, we'll go ahead. I mean, something's going to happen one way or another. I'm going to just table it so we know, so we get both, decide which one we're going to do. But we'll obviously, move it forward so that it can be in the committee of a whole.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next is necessary purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus.
RSCBA's. I brought this up a few months back with the mayor and I believe you too, Amy.
Yes.
Our air system, our breathing air systems for structural firefighting are scheduled to be replaced. They're obsolete May of 2021. I believe Chief Cleveland put in for capital improvements that is budgeted 100,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. I believe he put in for $100,000. The problem with those numbers is the standard industry right now. The average cost of an air pack for one air pack is $7,500 roughly to about $8,500. So let's say $8,000 on an average. We need 20 air packs for our riding positions in our department. So that would be roughly between $160,000, $170,000 in air packs. Obviously, with the $100,000 that he put in, we're falling pretty short there.
Okay, so just recap that. What is the amount that we're different from the amount that is budgeted?
I believe 100,000 was budgeted, and we need roughly 170,000. So we needed roughly an additional 70,000.
Okay. Is there any grants that you guys applied for or anything?
Unfortunately, the grant that was available for this year closed in March. Those grants were already awarded. So we wouldn't be able to apply for the new grant till roughly March or April of next year. And if they didn't make their awards until August, they just awarded this year in August, our packs will already be obsolete. So unfortunately, we kind of missed the boat on that one.
Okay, Brian, do they have this, that they're able to get the remaining 70,000?
I mean, we have it in an available balance, it's going to be part of the capital CI fund. So, yeah, we do have that. The 100 already verified that is in there. So it's going to be an extra 70,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they can apply for some grants for something else next year.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Well, maybe there's some other things that can
Well,
offset.
There will be. We need turnout gear, and that is something that the AFG grant is usually pretty liberal about awarding grants for, is turnout gear. And turnout gear is roughly like we already put out for 2 personnel this year. So, they're roughly $2,000, $2,200 per set. So each guy is going to need a set of gear times 20 person. I mean, you're looking at least $40,000, $50,000 there. So it will offset, depending on what we put the grant on. And you don't have to just put it out for gear. We can put it out for other stuff that we need as well.
There is a second AFG grant that's coming out this fall too. That second wave of COVID-19 supplemental.
That one that's coming out this fall, I may be mistaken, but the COVID-19, the second round is for a combination department and volunteer, to my understanding.
Yeah, I just saw it this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to dive in.
Yeah, I was reading it this afternoon. I'm pretty confident it's just for a combination department and or volunteer.
Okay, Matt and Rob, what are your thoughts on this?
Fortunate that the price went up so much, but given the timing, if we don't allocate it this year, if we try to buy some of it next year, it'll come in too late.
Right. Yeah, breathing is definitely important. And, I don't want to, I want to make sure you guys are properly protected. I don't want it to be my fault, by not approving this. It's a large amount, but like you said, if you offset it other ways, make up for it.
The thing we run into at the end of the year, say we wanted to wait till January. In January, they're looking at a 5 to 8% price increase on those packs. So if we're looking at $150,000, $170,000, add 5 to 8% on top of that. The other issue we run into right now, from what I'm being told from both manufacturers that we're looking at that are state bid, they're saying it's a 5-month turnaround from the time we purchase. So if we don't even purchase until, say, October, November, we're not going to receive the packs until February, March, regardless. So, which is going to put us, which is our goal, is to receive them obviously before our packs are out of date.
Are these state bid prices, Mark?
I'm sorry?
These are state bid prices? Is that what you were saying?
Yes. Yeah, they're state bid prices. Correct. So they don't have to go out to bid.
Okay. We're okay to move that forward. Are you okay with that, Matt?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move that forward too. And that's all I think you have on the agenda.
Like it wasn't enough.
That's
enough.
Yeah.
The next item was, something we have kept on was the all-purpose vehicles within the city limit. And thank you, Chief Wallace, for the detailed information you emailed to all of us in regards to the calls. It was kind of interesting. You know what? I don't have that in front of me, but the one thing, the site, here it is. Sorry. Yeah, it's right here. The citation that was issued, do you know by chance? I don't know if you're on, I can't tell. Do you know what the citation was that was issued?
It was for the person had been warned twice before, and when the person it was for a mini bike over in the area of Murray and New Milford. So the person had been warned a couple times before, and when he was stopped, he was cited for not having a license.
Okay.
I can't tell you, I had a call from a resident I talked to today. This individual's already made complaints with the police department. She said that it's a very loud four-wheeler that goes up and down the road. Quite often complaints have been made, but it seems like this individual continues to ride. I think this is the individual that they
Diamond Hill.
complained about a track being in the backyard. I don't know if it would be out of line to send that individual a warning letter. I don't know what we could do since it's been pinpointed to who it is or the residents of a particular address. But yeah, I've fielded some calls from this individual and another one today about the same issue.
Matt, do you want to email me that person's information and I'll make contact with them?
Absolutely, I'll do that.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I believe it's the same one that the building department was out to in Diamond Hills. Yeah, that seems to be where right now a lot of the problems are in that area. One of the things that it all goes back to our zoning ordinances on how to maybe tighten some of this up, where we, I don't know, Bob Finney, if you're still on, but weren't we discussing at our last time we talked about this, that there were certain ordinances that we had in place that, should stop him from riding on the main roads, correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
So that was my question, as far as when I was looking at some of the others that have been, in other communities, we have stuff in place. I guess it's the question of enforcement and, what is their actual right, if they ride it on their own property, versus, if they do ride it on their own property, is it going to create issues as far as quality of life of their other neighbors, next to them, such as the noise, dust, how do we enforce that from our ordinance point?
Well, the dust and noise, I believe, is in chapter 6, not in zoning, which is chapter 12.
Okay.
And then chapter 14 refers to maintenance, which would be junk and trash cars or
Right.
things like that. But anything that happens on the road, on the sidewalk, would be enforceable by police department.
Police department, correct.
In the past, when there was a noise issue, the police department would, I believe, has a decibel reader. It's either police or fire, one of those two departments. And in a way, we'd have to catch them doing it and just measure the decibels, and they could be issued a violation with regard to that. Same thing with dust. As far as recreating on their property, we don't have, to my knowledge, we don't have something in the code stating they can't ride a four-wheeler on their property or a motorized vehicle for that matter.
So is that something, that this committee feels that we should actually make our own ordinance to protect neighbors versus using the ones we have and having them enforced? Matt, Rob, what are your thoughts on, drafting another ordinance or ones that actually are more, specific to the motorcycle ATVs on personal property?
I thought we talked about this and as a committee or council decided not to do anything, not to make any changes.
Because I thought that's why we kept it in committee to keep talking about it. And we were going to, Chief was going to be sending us, updates so that we can actually see what kind of numbers are out there. And if it is, a local problem, maybe one particular ward, maybe I misunderstood too. I
might have misunderstood, but at the time I was like, well, if we're not going to change, if we're not going to put any ordinances out there, nothing's going to change.
Right.
And I think the statistics bear that out. Within the last month, there's been pretty minimal activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just last month, two complaints.
2 complaints, right.
So that's not a whole lot to go I mean, I think it's an issue that's worthy of consideration. I've always said I think it's a safety issue more than anything else. I know it bothers neighbors when these devices are running private property, which apparently is legal. But I just worry that, someone who's not well versed on handling this thing drives it through a fence or something and somebody gets injured. I just don't see this as activity belonging within the city limits, but
I agree.
I don't know, it just seemed like nobody really wanted to sit down and craft any kind of ordinance saying that. So that's the first thing we need to decide. Do we want to move forward in that direction? Or do you just want to keep enforcing what we have? And I thought we were going to just keep enforcing what we have. So, but I'm in favor of investigating any kind of ordinance that would prohibit this kind of behavior on private property.
Okay, what about you, Matt?
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
the
think
committee-
it would be worth investigating a little bit more
Okay,
because of a safety issue, a nuisance issue. I think we should take a little bit deeper look at it as well.
okay. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna try to set something up with our building department, maybe police department and our law director, and look over the ordinances that we currently have and what we could do to possibly maybe get a rough draft of an idea and then bring it back to committee and then, kind of give us a rough draft. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, in addition, look at other cities that prohibit.
Well, I do have copies of other cities. But it's, like I said, the big thing too, I think, is quality of life for the neighbors. Anybody living in a home, should be able to enjoy their home. At the same time, not have to put up with loud noises such as, what four-wheelers can do on the city property. And I do agree they should be out in the country versus in the city. So, okay, I will figure out some time for the next couple weeks before our next meeting to try to get something set up and at least try to start a process, okay? Any other questions? Okay, all right. If you could tell me the time, Andrew, because I don't have it in front of me, I'm outside.
6:03.
Okay, is there anything else to come before public health and safety?
Yes, Amy.
What?
Yes. I may have to bring something to the committee of the whole that was not prepared for today. We're still doing some investigation, but the contract for the school resource officer needs to be approved, and we do not have a figure for the daily rate on that. We hope to get the additional information that we need by the time of the committee of the whole. I wanted to let people know that, of course, school is coming quickly. And if this had to go to October, it'd be too late if they're open.
I was just gonna say, now, if they don't open, will then the school resource officer be back on?
They'll be out on the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious how that worked, if he was in contract where he still goes to the buildings and stuff.
Right now, it's a per diem charge for when he's working there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that either, so. Any other management updates?
That's all for me.
Okay, we'll say 6:05, and I'll call this meeting adjourned.
All right, at 6:05, I'll call the Streets and Sidewalks Committee meeting to order. One item up for discussion this evening. I think everybody hopefully had a chance to read the letter from Mariah. It's in regard to bicycles may use the full lane signs on Main Street. This has been brought to us in the past. We've had discussions about this in the past. We've invited Mariah to the meeting to clarify exactly what he was trying to accomplish, what he wanted, a sign on the side of the road, painting on the road. So we're still kind of confused about that, but we do have an ordinance on the books that bicycles can use the roads. They have to stay to the right unless it's an unsafe situation. So I don't really know where to go with it, with this at this point, other than to reach out to Mariah and try and get clarification on exactly what he would like to see happen. Bob, do you have any other input?
No, if you received the email that I sent late today, the ORC, the Ohio Revised Code 4511.55 specifically states they shall ride as near to the right side of the road as practical and obeying all traffic rules. So if our ordinance states, it's probably mirroring the ORC.
And he wants a sign that says they have use of full lane, which I don't think we can allow.
At this point, we cannot.
Okay. So that being said, they have certain rights. I don't think we can accommodate his wish at this time based on the ORC. So unless there's any other comments, questions, or concerns, we'll put this one to bed. Doesn't look like there's anything. Do we have a management update?
Not tonight.
Okay, so at 6:07, I will adjourn the Streets and Sidewalks Committee meeting. Thanks.
Okay, at 6:07, I'll call the Utility Committee meeting to order, and this is pertaining to stormwater. This is pertaining to a stormwater grant, which will possibly go into effect at the high school. And this is, for the most part, requested by the EPA. The EPA requires some stormwater money to be used for educational purpose. And that's what this is for a trail / possible observation deck to be used through there over at the high school property. And sometime down the road, it's possible that it could be used for day camp trips somewhere down the road. And this is one possible way to fulfill the EPA education guidelines. They've been done in the past years, but just in a different fashion. And that's what this grant is about. And to appropriate 5,000 contribution toward this, with the high school is planning approximately 30,000 worth of construction toward this project for vegetation removal and education materials for this project. So if there are any comments toward this project.
I'm not sure I understand what it is. In reading the documentation, there's all kinds of stuff, and it talks about a grant, but what is the grant? Is the grant $30,000 or $25,000? I'm not clear about all the specifics of this. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm not sure I understand it. And then there's a quote of $16,000 to create a trail, I guess. And then there's something.
That's the quote is formally
vegetation.
I know the contractor, but Rob, I can understand what you said, because sometimes I've seen things that don't have complete details, so I can understand your statement completely.
Well, I'm just confused. Is the 5,000 our share or, is there
Yeah.
matching funding? I guess that's the kind of thing, the details. It's not the overall project or anything. It's just the details aren't registering in my
Okay,
brain.
give me a chance to explain.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
Portage County Soil and Water applies for grants such as this. And in this case, they did receive the grant. This project, we've actually talked to the high school and Portage County Soil and Water, a couple, 2-3 years ago. We actually wanted to donate the boardwalk boards to the school. Unfortunately, they weren't usable after construction. So as part of our stormwater permit with the EPA, the county provides education as part of the component to our stormwater permit. We pay for some of that education. It's roughly $1,500 a year to Portage County Soil and Water. Our stormwater permit is in conjunction with Portage County. However, the next round, which is a 5-year cycle, we're going to end up applying for our permit on our own. This is based on what the EPA is mandating. But in any regard, a component to building this nature trail on the Ravenna High School property, a component for the city is that we will be able to use this as our educational component for our permitting. So since we weren't able to donate some of the boardwalk material, they've asked us to contribute as part of our permit, as part of our educational component. And it looks like the total cost of this is going to be about $30,000. $16,000 is going to be used for construction. And then Davy Tree's estimate is just under $4,000 for herbicide, and which would be removing. I'm not sure where the other $10,000 is going to go toward construction, and I don't know what the grant amount is, but they have asked us to participate in this in the amount of $5,000. And the way we consider this is an educational component for us for many years down the road. It would be paid out of our stormwater utility.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, no, I think this is something we should definitely go forward with.
And Bob, would you be able to find out sometime the differences here that would add up to the 30,000?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we can get numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's fine. I'll have those for next Monday night, or yeah, next Monday night.
Thank you, Bob. I'm good with moving this forward.
Okay, what about Cheryl? Okay, maybe she's not there today. Okay, so there any
I'm
manage-
sorry, I am here. I was trying to get
Okay,
my phone unmuted. I'm okay with it. I think that especially since it's a component that we're required to do anyway, it's a great opportunity, and anything to help the kids in education, I think it's a great idea.
okay, great. Thank you. And thank you, Rob, for your comments and questions. And I'll ask if there is a management update at this time. Okay, at this time, I don't hear a management update. I'll adjourn this meeting at,
There is no management update. I'm sorry, I had the mic muted in here. Okay.
okay, thank you. It looks like it's 6:15. I'll adjourn this meeting.
Okay, at 6:15, I will call the planning committee meeting to order. I think we actually only have 2 items on the agenda. The last 2, I believe, were asked to be removed. Is that correct, Bob?
tabled for another month.
Okay.
Correct.
I have a,
So then the first item is chapter 1070, point of sale inspections. Bob, you want to let us know what that's all about?
Yes, the very first sentence states the owner of any real property or person entering into a contract for the purchase of such real property shall request, and as all of us know, shall means must. And I want to remove the word shall and write the word may. They may request the city inspect the structure or land. And also, this is in chapter 10, which is our utility section. And throughout this ordinance, it refers to the building official. I want to replace the building official with city engineer. And also the penalty, I want to repeal the penalty.
Right.
Which is written as guilty of a misdemeanor. I want to repeal that, and there will be no penalty. Since it's voluntary at this point, they may request it. And I was sort of part of this ordinance when it was written, and it would be extremely difficult for the building department, street department, and the engineering department to perform inspections every time a home is sold.
Seems like a.
So with that.
So my only comment
yeah,
is, don't you have the words building official in a lot of other places in the zoning code? Or is this the last remnant?
Yeah. In the zoning code we do, but not in utility section in chapter 10, which is water, wastewater, storm. In those areas, the building department does not get involved. Obviously, I do personally, since I wear both hats.
Okay.
The
All right, well.
Seal inspection would not have been put in this chapter. It would be in chapter 14 if that were the case. And again, there are other inspection agencies that could be contracted to perform inspections such as this.
Okay, well, this makes sense to me. Anybody in the committee have any question about that? Tim, Amy?
No, I don't have a question. I guess I do. It makes sense to me also. I'm just wondering, based on Bob's explanation of it, do you believe that it's in the wrong chapter and should go to 14?
No, it should stay in chapter 10 as a utility inspection.
Okay.
The intent was to verify that the water, to verify that the storm and sanitary were separated as they leave the structure. But somehow it ended up getting put into chapter 10 as the building official.
All right, then can we go ahead and move this forward?
Yes.
Okay. The next,
Yes.
Thanks, Amy. The next item on the agenda is metal siding. Go ahead, Bob. This is also from you.
This was pretty simple. As I was looking through our ordinances for various reasons, I ran across this. And as you can see, this was passed in 1975. Our building codes have changed tremendously over the years. So to clean this up, I want to specifically reference, remove under section B, it says all aluminum or metal siding shall be grounded with da-da-da. I want to state that it be bonded per current National Electric Code. Pretty simple.
Okay.
Cover that for the future. Under C, it says a permit issued by the electrical inspector. The electrical inspector doesn't issue permits, our building department issues permit.
Right.
So those would be the two changes into compliance with the way we operate today.
Well, and also the penalty. Did you want to, it looks like in your notation here, you wanted to remove the penalty, repeal it.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I need to turn the page. Yeah, we're going to repeal the penalty also.
Does anybody install metal siding anymore?
Well, no, only on pole buildings or garages, pretty much. Occasionally we see some on a house, but it's
Really?
rare. If they do, it's more of an accent panel.
All right, Amy, Tim, any questions, concerns about this change to our ordinance?
Bob, you said that under B, you want all aluminum and metal siding shall be bonded per current National Electric Code. You said that was simple, but I didn't quite understand it. Bonded as in insured or bonded as
No,
put
bonded,
together?
similar to grounding. It's a term similar to grounding
Okay,
as all electric is grounded.
okay, gotcha. Okay,
Bonded, grounded, it's kind of an interchangeable term.
okay.
I'm good with moving it forward.
I'm fine.
All right, we will do that then. Since the other two items have been tabled, Mayor, is there a management update? You're muted.
There, we're not. I just wanted to let you know that we did have a meeting last week of various players in town that helped devise or put together a number of the plans that are currently being looked at with the idea of trying to consolidate and streamline this so that we don't have 40 different plans going around. That's a bit of an overstatement. Sometimes 6 is an awful lot. With that. So we are beginning to do that. Council will get involved with this more as we get some orientation for this. It will probably end up, anything that we do along these lines will probably end up in your committee.
I'm a little confused. What plans are you referring to?
We're talking about some of the ones that we paid for the downtown. One of them, and I don't have that one in the folder, but since you mentioned it tonight, we do have the plan that was done by the gentleman that came up and evaluated the buildings.
Okay.
As to their appropriateness and what he would recommend. At the time, we were looking at the store out on the corner of Diamond as a possible place for City Hall and those sorts of things.
Right.
And, he looked at the lot where the old high school was. He looked at the police and fire buildings, and there were a few other buildings around town that he evaluated. The RAC, he looked at that. So we need to get together, and I've been talking with Cheryl a little bit today, and we're going to get together and try and consolidate some of this stuff and get some direction so it isn't so confusing as we move on.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear, because, you know, those kind of long-term plans, I think, are important. We need to have those discussions. So, yeah, I look forward to having those plans brought through the committee. All right, so if there's nothing else at 6:24, I will adjourn the planning committee.
Hey, Rob, real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can I just throw something out? 2 points for discussion real quick. The first, just to let everyone know, the township is having their meeting tomorrow, so I should get word back from Hank on a meeting date coming up. So as soon as I have it, I'll update everyone. And the other point I wanted right now, I guess, just for discussion, is in regards to meetings being held. And I was looking through the charter, and this was a conversation that I had briefly with Mr. Calfee. So feel free to jump in anytime. but I want to look at a section of the charter, if I can find it real quick, about our meetings generally. So it is section 5. It says the clerk of council shall keep a record of its proceedings in a journal, of which the yes and no vote of each council person voting on an ordinance of a resolution shall be recorded. So saying that, we had a conversation about having an all in favor. If anyone attended the OML training, what was supposed to be a couple months ago, we had it online, and rather than going through the 3 motions and taking a roll call for each vote, having a discussion about an all in favor for some of these items. And obviously you as members, if you wanted to ask for a roll call vote, we can do that anytime. And one may be asked, for certain issues. But wanted to throw it out there, especially since we're virtual, if it's something council might be interested in. Looking at the charter, I'm kind of interested to hear what Samina say too, on that interpretation, I guess, as well. But just throwing it out there.
What did you say it was in the charter?
In section 5 under meetings generally, I believe was the section. Page 5 of 14.
I don't know, what I'm looking at doesn't say any of that. Is this under council?
Yes.
The council. Oh, section 5.
There's one little paragraph on.
Oh, 10, section 10-5. Okay.
5. That's
Majority of them shall constitute a quorum at any meeting.
Yeah.
4 votes required. I don't see where it says anything about them being a voice vote.
Well, that was my question. So we had a conversation about doing kind of an all in favor, but reading that, it sounds like that you do need to record a yes and no vote for each ordinance. So,
Well, wait a second. It just says by an affirmative vote of 4 members. It doesn't say anything about a journal of the yes and no vote of each council person voting in an ordinance. Well, I guess the question, and I think you do need to maybe circle back to the law director, is it all those 3 votes or just passing the ordinance that needs to be a voice vote? If it's all 3, then the only way to do this is to change the charter, and we have to wait for an election to do that, unfortunately.
right. So I wanted to throw it out there because it was a discussion.
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of what was going on. At one of our previous meetings, we had, I think, 39 roll call votes in the meeting, and 2/3 of them were the waive the 90 days and waive the readings. And every one of those were completely unanimous votes. And so in a way of saving time and being more efficient, I believe that it was possible on those 2 votes that we could go to just a voice vote, all in favor, yes, no, and proceed from there. And of course, vote a recorded vote on the ordinance. So it's just that we are taking a lot of time. And I believe whenever we were having this workshop with the Municipal League about rules for operating council, that it was not necessary for a voice vote. Now, our charter might require it. I mean, for a recorded vote, our charter might require it, but it's just an idea of maybe to save a lot of time on those endless votes. Okay, that's what we were looking at.
Yeah, I appreciate that, especially virtually.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree virtually too.
The interesting thing about the wording, it doesn't say voice vote. It just says that each councilman or woman, their vote would be recorded for each one. And again, I don't know if that's just for the resolution or for those other 2 motions. But even if it were, I don't know if the way it reads means that we have to have a voice vote. It would just be up to Chelsea to figure out who said yes and who said no. So I think
Yeah.
it would be impractical though, not to have a voice vote the way the charter is written, at least for the resolution. But I think that's a good point. We could save a lot of 2/3 of the voting time probably by having voice votes for those two preliminary motions.
Are you all right? Is council okay with me reaching out to Mr. Semino and looking a little further?
Please.
Sure.
Yes.
And thanks, Alfie, for bringing that up.
Okay, anything else? Then I will adjourn again the planning committee meeting at 6:31.
All right, 6:31. I will call to order the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting. We have one item on the agenda this evening, which is a payment of $3,750 to Main Street for the landscape project. And the mayor had submitted this, so I'm going to ask him to kind of share a little bit on this.
I've talked with a few people today in preparation for this vote tonight, and I was trying to figure out some of the disconnect that we had on it. And I think the disconnect came as that this was started when the previous council was asked about it and asked if they had any objection to this. It was not done in a vote, but it was just surveying them. And I got a tacit approval to move ahead with this. This is to support a $50,000 project with a donation from 3 donors to do the landscape project. Jason Skentner is the landscape architect that is doing this. And by the way, you could have gone to see what he has accomplished up to this point. And that will be offered again, I believe, on the 13th in the old framing store. They're going to give some other opportunities for the public to come in and have input into this.
Hey, Mayor, it will
Yeah.
actually be August 14th from 3 to 7, and again, August 19th through the 21st.
Okay. August 14th. All right. Thank you for correcting that. This is the 3 donors that donated the bulk of the money thought that because this event was 2-pronged. They wanted to see the county and the city working together for the benefit of the downtown of Ravenna. And they wanted to see, as I said, us working together on it. They felt that we should have some skin in the game. Not a whole lot, but some. And the determined amount that was recommended was $3,750. We thought in order to get $43,000 to help this project move forward, that was a small investment for us to do that. So I had given permission for that to move ahead, including us with that, based on conversations that I did have with the council with that. And that's basically what this is. This would be paid for not out of general fund money. This would come from RLF funds in the Section 17. That fund currently has a balance of $180,000. We would be asking permission to spend $3,750 on this project.
I just have one small question. When Jason was chosen, were there different architects looked at, or was he just the only one that was chosen by in the past? Or
Paul, I can't answer that question. I did not put that part of this together.
Okay, I didn't know.
You know, the other thing that I recommended, I did not want to run this project through city funds. We've got enough keeping track of what's going on with the pandemic and the different funds that we have to put things together for that. And I recommended that they go to Main Street. That's also an additional benefit to the donors because then it's tax deductible for them. It was an additional bonus. But Main Street agreed to go ahead and handle the money in this situation. But I was not directly involved in picking the landscape.
Okay, thank
We
you.
have nothing, yeah, we have nothing to do with that. That would be, they're a private entity. I mean, they're a nonprofit. They can pick and choose who they want to.
And I think just where the confusion, just to speak and say where the confusion came along, at least for me, is when we got the information, it says for a landscape project. And then, you know, when I looked into it more and found out that it was for the downtown district plan, those sound like two different things to me. So kind of gathering some information, getting what that was. For, you know, for those that haven't gone to that, we're going to downtowndistrictplan.com to kind of look and see it is more than just that landscape piece. I know when I talked to Mayor, when I talked with you yesterday, I said, it's not just plants, right? I mean, because landscape to me is when they come and throw mulch in my yard. So this is much more than that. However, in a tracking sheet, it really isn't, it isn't made that clear. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that that's what that is.
Yeah, thank you.
And to be clear, this is to pay a consultant to do the plan. It's not actually to pay for the work to be done. So that's something to keep in mind. And Paul, to answer your question, no, there was no bidding process. I don't know how the selection was made. Probably because isn't he the same guy who's doing the cemetery? And it's based on his reputation and his connection to the city. But you know, he's seeking input, so he's not just going off on his own. He's kind of trying to get other people invested in it. And it is a nominal amount. I do think that, and I do remember it being discussed at council previously, and it may have been the previous council. It seems like it's been a while. I certainly support the initiative. It's not a whole lot of money, as the mayor said. It's just it's a nominal commitment to make sure when these projects come around that the city is giving some sort of nod of approval and some commitment, even though it's a fairly small amount. I believe the county is already committed to it. So I hope the council will seriously consider this as something to be a benefit for the downtown with very little city funds having to pay for it.
Okay, thank you very much. That helps.
Does anybody else have anything to add on this?
No, like I said, I first saw it too, and I was a little taken back at first, just by the way it read. And but then after I did speak with the mayor today and got clarification, I do feel better about it. You know, my big thing was, you know, we're keeping our downtown clean and, you know, working in our downtown and, you know, concerned about the businesses that, you know, are having a hard time even staying open. So, but when I did learn that the money is coming from, you know, the RLF fund and, you know, this is appropriate use for it, I'm much better with it. So.
And I stopped by today and just kind of looked at what they have set up in the frame shop windows. If you haven't been down there, there's Post-it notes and people can walk by and write what their feedback. Some of it probably was not appropriate. But for the most part, I would say 95% was some really good feedback from different residents about things that they want to see in our city. And I had a conversation with a couple of the people that were standing down there, whether it was going to work. So it seems like it's a little more community driven than some other plans, because it is, you know, he is hosting these workshops and having the community come in and talk about it. So interested to see what that plan is going to entail for the future.
And I'd just like to add, I do like the idea of anything to improve the city and the beautification of it. Like the mayor said earlier, I do think it's really important that we actually condense all of these separate plans and, you know, really focus on a more comprehensive plan that will branch out and cover all areas of the city in the future.
Agreed. All right, is everyone okay with moving this forward then?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Amy, you good? Oh, I see you. Okay. thumbs up. Mr. Mayor, do you have a management update for this?
No, I do not.
All right, so then I will, what time is it? 6:40. Call our meeting to end.
Okay, at 6:40, we will call the information systems to order. The first thing on the agenda is the $1,500 for the purchase of a new program to track the capital assets. I'm going to let Brian speak on this.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, this isn't a real big expenditure, but it's something, when I was going through with Kimball before he left, there was definitely a need that we had. It's going to be $2,500, but we already have $1,000 in a software development line. So I'm just asking for an extra $1,500. The company is Industrial Appraisals. I'm not sure if you use them before, Tim, Calvi.
No, we used a different company for that.
Okay.
Keep
They
it
do a
separate.
lot. They do a lot of cities and school districts throughout the state of Ohio. They're at all the trade shows and everything. And I have a separate computer system sitting in the office here. It's a really, really old one. If it crashes, there's no way, it's not back up, and there's no way to retrieve the data. And it's not been supported for many, many years. So we have to do something. When I first gave this list out to the company I was talking to, they were talking 10,000 or more. But I took some time and condensed the list, put some filters on it, got rid of a bunch of junk that doesn't need to be in there, and they were willing to do it for 2,500. So it seems like pretty much a slam dunk to do. Then every year, what we do is any of the assets that are over $5,000, we have to give those to the company, and then they'll rerun reports for us. And these will be used for the audit reports and stuff to keep us in compliance.
So a question, Brian, approximately how many years would the software be adequate?
It's not actually even a software system. So we're using their reports. So what happens is we give them a list of our assets. They put it in their system. Then every year we'll give them any updates that we got. So if we purchase these cars, these boats, whatever we purchased, we'll give them that add-on stuff, and they'll put it in the system based on our information, and give us reports that are adequate to support the audits. It'll show depreciation, useful lives, all that fun stuff.
Okay, but then I phrased that wrong. I should have said, how often does a program need to be evaluated for further purchase?
Well, this one will be good. I mean, kind of on a continual basis. You just have to give them the new information each year. There will be a update fee each year. It'll be approximately $500 every year to add on all this information so they can rerun the new reports to comply with the audit. The alternative would be to use another accounting system. You're going to spend a lot more money than that on that system, and the updates are going to be a lot more. And there's going to be a lot more manual input in there as well.
Well, Brian, you're the expert with this. I'm sure you're probably familiar with the program and are comfortable with it. I don't see a problem being in this committee, Cheryl, moving it forward.
Thank you, Amy.
And just to be sure, it's not the $1,500 on the tracking sheet. It's, you said 2,500?
It's going to be 2,500. We already have $1,000 in the line, so I just needed 1,500 to.
Okay. I didn't hear that part. Okay. And the $500 license fee every year, is that going to be something you can budget for?
Yeah, so it's going to just have to be in there as a continual budget amount, correct?
Yeah, no, I support this.
Thank you, Rob. Does anyone else have anything?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is the council recording equipment. Kathy used it quite a bit from my understanding. It's a maintenance renewal agreement, but I'd like to hear from Chelsea on her opinion.
Hi. So for the last couple of months, we actually haven't been using the equipment. When we went from doing everything online, Quality IP had us using a program called Audacity. And so that's what's been recording. I know Kathy liked the system a lot. But personally, it doesn't matter to me. I've been doing a lot of using actually the Zoom videos. And so if we have another option, I'm for that. I don't know if Quality IP has something that they would prefer us to use. And maybe that's why they had Audacity set up. But I believe that's something that Katie and Jonathan, or Katie and Nick, were working on. And Andrew might know more.
This is, I mean, this is kind of, we spent a lot of money, not as much as Quality IP wanted us to spend, for this video recording system. As far as I can tell, this system includes audio. And so I just wonder, why would we pay for a separate audio? In fact, I would think, Chelsea, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's easier to track a meeting in terms of minutes and stuff by actually having not only the audio, but the visual, because I'm sure at times you're wondering who's actually talking.
Absolutely.
So this seems like a redundant system at this point in time, because I believe the plan is to record our meetings, you know, from now on, whether we're meeting in person or not. So I just think this is some money we can save for other purposes.
Yeah, and as you're looking at the Norelson invoice there, we won't be moving forward, it sounds like, with the software, the VIQ software. The USB mixer stays here, and that's what we're plugged into now. And as far as we know, we'll continue to use Audacity until otherwise told, or otherwise, Quality IP brings another option to us. But Audacity is free, seems to be working right now. Fingers crossed that it continues to. The other thing I do want to throw out there for discussion is right now we're buying equipment, plugging it into the same machine there, that same old computer that's crashed on us a few times. So just as a point of discussion now that literally just thinking about it as we walked in, because the cameras and everything, the last of the equipment arrived today. So as we're moving forward and plugging everything in, all of that new equipment is going to go into this old computer, and we may see some of the same issues creep up. I don't know for a fact, but I guess that's a question for Quality IP, but just to throw it out there.
I agree with Rob on that, what he just said, and you as well. So I'm okay with things going the way they are, and not, having to, renew something if we're not using it.
I agree. I just wanted to see what everybody else's opinion, especially, Chelsea being the one to use it. If it was going to benefit her, then it, obviously we would have to look at it a different way. But with the way we're moving forward with things, and if she doesn't see a use for it over the last couple months, I think we're safe to say that we probably won't use it in the future. And with Andrew making the point of the computer, that's money that could be saved and go towards a computer if we need to.
Yep.
I'll just say that I completely agree with those comments, and it seems like it wouldn't be a wise investment to continue that.
Anybody else have anything? If there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the Information Systems Committee at 6:49.
Nothing from you, Mayor? We're good to go? All right, well then, see you all next week.
Have a good one.